Hello! In this video, we are going to review the Check Your Understanding for Lesson 1.1, Analyzing Categorical Data. Before we begin, please be sure you have the Check Your Understanding completed, and please have a different color writing implement ready to go to make changes or additions to your work. Number 1, students at a local high school were asked which gaming system they preferred, the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, or neither. The graph shown at right shows the results. Explain why the graph may be misleading. So we take a look at the graph and we know we've looked at some pretty bad ones, and we take a look at the scale, and right away we see that it does not start at 0, which is going to be a problem as far as displaying the data. And we take a look here and wow, the Xbox 360 seems to be at about a third of what the PS3 is, but really it's only a 3% difference in the number of people. And we take a look at the neither category, and wow, it seems that 0% of the people chose neither, but that could be around 44.5%. So that is not good. So these are my 2 points to that. Vertical scale doesn't start at 0, and it appears the neither group is at 0%. And as a general rule, we know that pictographs should be avoided. Moving on to number 2, a little longer one. An article in the Journal of the American Medical Association reports the results of a study designed to see if the herb St. John's wort is effective in treating moderately severe cases of depression. The study involved 338 patients who were being treated for major depression. The subjects were randomly assigned to receive one of 3 treatments: St. John's wort, Zoloft, a prescription drug, or placebo, and an active treatment for an 8-week period. The 2A table summarizes the data from the experiment. So from the summer work, I'm glad to see that this experiment has randomly assigned subjects, and also that there is a placebo group, a control group, which makes this a well-designed experiment. Before I go any further, I am going to, you notice, circle my total. That will allow me to check my work, and that way I don't actually have to go through and calculate that number. I can use that as the denominator in many of my fractions. Taking a look at the 2A table, you notice that I right away filled in the marginal frequencies. Those are those column totals and those row totals, and I did a little quick check to be sure that each of those added up to 338. So number 1, what proportion of subjects in the study were randomly assigned to take St. John's wort? Explain why this value makes sense. So I come over here to my column total, and I see that I have 113 subjects in that category, and that will be out of 338. When I do the calculation, that percent is 33.4%. That makes sense to me, because if my subjects were divided randomly into 3 groups, I would expect each one to be roughly a third. So there is my formal explanation for why that would be. Moving on to number 2, find the distribution of change in depression for the subjects in this study using relative frequencies. So I can go over to my row totals here, and I see that I've got this distribution of 91, 55, and 192. The collective of those results, that will be my distribution. And this is saying relative frequencies, so I'm going to put each one of those numbers over 338 and find those percents. There's really no hard, fast rule, by the way, about rounding. In statistics, we like to give at least 1 decimal place with our percents, and sometimes you just let the problem be your guide, but there is no hard and fast rule. Generally, we stick to the 10th place, but there may be cases, especially later in the year, where we go further than that. Finally, what percent of subjects took Zoloft and showed a full response? So that and right there, that is a signal to me that we are going to be talking about a joint relative frequency. So I go to Zoloft and a full response. I say I have 27. I'm going to put that over my total of 338, and I get 8.0%. And before we wrap up, I would like you to take a look back at the 3 responses here and notice that none of those answers are just given as numbers. In every problem, every section, I do have some link back to the problem, which is so important, especially for the AP exam. And we start preparing for that on day 1. Using context in your answers is a major part of every rubric. So be sure that when you do your work, you do not leave any naked answers where it's only numbers. Make sure you always link back to the problem and give your answers in context. I hope you found this video helpful, and we will see you in class soon.